To be here, and it's quite a struggle. I've been making films for last 15 years. I'm based in Delhi, and I always wonder what is cinema for us, because I never thought of making films. Why I started making film was when I was 16-year-old. First time a TV came to my village, and there were like 3 villagers sitting in front of the TV. Even there's nothing, sometimes the antenna got cut and you don't see visual. Still they were sitting. I imagine the power of that tiny TV comes to bigger screen. A country which is obsessed with cinema, a country where it's only cricket and cinema which can translate into anything. And I always wonder what is happening to the world where we are kind of just, if you see entertainment and entertainment has, the cinema has got into the mode of only entertainment and box office. It's sometime I do not understand what is happening, but we still keep on doing cinema. I have a small child, and I try to always see what children are getting today. A nation which is obsessed with cinema, but, sorry, I was thinking of something else, but what I wanted to say here is, what we are fulfilling as a filmmaker is satisfying the fantasy of people, because there are a lot of hunger of people which we put through cinema. Even about a woman, imagine a illiterate truck drivers, he kind of romancing through Munni Badnaam Hui, okay, where he tried to see how a woman could be, I was doing a film a couple of years back. I was shooting in Haryana. It was a children's film, and suddenly the producer came that when the children were fighting one scene, and the producer came and he said that, why didn't you give some galis to children so that they can say in the film? I said, we can't give galis to, can't give the dialogue as gali to the children. He said, don't you remember in Delhi Valley that Bhag Bhag DK Bose has become very famous, So children loves it. So in the name of children's cinema today, we have Rowdy Rathore, Singham, these are the kind of films what we plays on. By end of the day, as a filmmaker, I would say as an artist, we have all our freedom to say, whatever the stories, whichever the form, whichever the way we can. But since it's a country which loves cinema and such a huge population, people are also inspired and motivated by films. So I think we should have certain responsibility towards telling a story, which doesn't look relevant today, because cinema has not become, cinema is no more an art form, I would say, because in the studios, in people, everyone, it has become a product. At any cost, you want to sell the film. So which is how you're missing. Of course, there are good cinemas happening also with the Munna Bhai, 3 Idiots. There are a lot of great pieces of work which has come. But somehow we still miss, we are talking now, and why we are talking about the social responsibility of cinema, because we have lost somewhere, We do not know what direction it is moving. I'll give you a very interesting, relevant example, I don't know, we all can discuss who is responsible for this, but the day Nirbhay can't happen, the Nirbhay case happened, same day, there was a film which was released called Grand Masti, which was a sleazy sex comedy. And that reached to last year's one of the biggest box office success was Grand Masti. So those people who saw the case in news, who went with the candle to India Gate, they came and watched that and made it a 100 crores film. So is it the producer? Is it the filmmaker? Is it media? Is it people? Who is responsible for this? At the same time, I'll give you a very interesting example. If you go to Europe, the censor board, literally the censor is divided from 1 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 14, 14 to 18, and 18 plus. Whereas here, what we saw, my son comes from the school, he said that Singham 2 everyone has saw, can't we go and see? Then I explain about Singham 2 or, Rowdy Rathore. So the children film, Bhag Bhag DK Bose becomes the national anthem. Rowdy Rathore, Singham becomes children's cinema for this country. where are we taking these children? Where are we taking this new generation? Whether you call it sex, what sells the most is villain, gunde, underworld, sex. Where are we taking them? And it's not, and also the way we are now as filmmaker, I would say the kind of pressure we have from investor, from distributor, from producers is very difficult, because today's, I would say openly that studios, it's literally a headmaster teaching you how to write a script. You don't have the freedom. So I decided to make my films independent. So I have made 4 films independently. I do not depend on any studio, and I still suffer. It's quite a struggle, of course, Well, at the same time, there was a very interesting talk I had with, I was in Iran last month, and I met Abbas Kiarostami. And he said a very interesting thing, that you guys are lucky. You have a huge audience. You can make film left, right, center, which is true. I make a film every year. We're lucky to be here. But at the same time, just to compare with one tiny small film producing country like Iran, which is, how Iran is socially, you all would know. They make these tiny pieces of work, which is culturally relevant, socially relevant. They make big box office. They reach to almost every second year they're in Oscar and Cannes. Where are we? Being the largest cinema producing country, there's hardly one or two. When I made I Am Kalam for 2 years, I left everything and I become a marketing man. I took the film to every festival. Every time you take the film, they said, is it Bollywood? No, we're not interested. So that's the status what we have there as a piece of art even. Forget about socially, it is good or not. But at the same time, I would say we should be proud of our cinema. It's a great it's a great genre of cinema, because I think no other country has song and dance in cinema. So it is a unique genre in the world. I was in a wedding last week, and I realized how boring wedding could be if Hindi cinema would not have been there. Yeah, बिना गाने पे wedding क्या होगा? It will be very boring. It's all come from the cinema. We sing, we dance. That it is very important. Entertainment is very important, because what will these people do otherwise if there is no entertainment? So the hunger people have, whether poverty, whether love. Imagine a person get married, and in this tiny 2-bedroom there are 18 people living, and his fantasy of love comes through the cinema, because he can't even romanticize with his wife. He doesn't have a space. So I would say the need is there. As I would say that, now it's time that the audience should, the makers should really understand I'm not saying you make socially relevant cinema, but we should have certain moral sense to tell these stories. I think we can discuss it further. That's about it. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.